You and I have seen this, and it's absolutely devastating. It's so hard to believe, but sometimes caregivers or unfit parents actually hurt their child out of frustration and anger.
A 3-month-old baby who may have been violently shaken appears to have permanent brain damage and may go blind.
1,400 shaken baby deaths every year in the U.S.
If we see little blood spots all over, that's usually retinal hemorrhages.
Shut up, be quiet.
The baby had bleeding in her brain and eyes. Police are investigating the father for child abuse.
Usually, if the middle part of the brain is damaged, the baby will die.
So you and I, we've seen this.
Man, that is, yeah, we see it in the ERs, and then they come in, and parents they just lose their cool, and it's terrible that this happens.
And literally, it can take one shake, and a baby can suffer
serious brain damage. And this simulator can show you how that brain damage can happen. Okay, this baby starts to cry. As the caregiver, if you don't keep your cool, you start to lose your frustration. And with a bit of forceful shaking, you can see the back of the brain starts to light up. That indicates a baby was shaken like that will probably have visual problems because this part of the brain controls vision. And as shaking continues, the front part of the brain lights up, and a baby there would have behavior problems, developmental problems, things like that. Basically, the baby's head is accelerating, decelerating in that figure-8 motion, and that really produces a lot of force. And what happens in the brain when this happens is you get different parts of the brain move in opposite directions. You get a shearing force, which can tear the neurons, the cells in the brain. And that actually can also tear small blood vessels, which then lead to bleeding, which is very, very serious.
The eyes?
The eyes. From all those shearing forces, the back and forth motion causes the lining of the eye, the retina, to kind of separate from the back. And some of those small blood vessels tear and cause what's called a retinal hemorrhage. And that's a huge sign of child abuse. I wish this is something we would never see, but unfortunately it's
yeah, there's
common.
no worse call for a pediatrician or an ER doctor to make than to Child Protective Services, or worse yet, after a death from a shaken baby or other trauma. So that's very heavy stuff. We know this, but I want everyone to listen to Jim because we're going to talk about ways to deal with a crying baby that are much more constructive, ways to prevent yourself from getting so frustrated.
I have 4 tips to soothe the crying baby. I call them the 4 S's.
4 S's.
4's, and it's not it's a different S word than we're usually thinking. But first S is swaddling. Simply just swaddling a baby can sometimes simulate the womb and make them happier. The second one, a shushing sound. Get them snuggled up and go shh. That's a calming sound. It kind of also simulates what the mom's heartbeat in the womb. The third one is swinging. Just that rocking motion can soothe the baby. And the last one, sucking. Whether it's a pacifier, breastfeeding, or a bottle, getting the baby sucking can help relax the baby.
Great tips, Dr.